We are live 364 days a year.
What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with YouTube.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan Daniels. Better than Okada.
How do you not get sushi after Monday Night Raw?
Welcome to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, a show where a rotating cast of wrestling fans from around the world come and share and debate their opinions, with live comments from all of you shown throughout, as after all, fans are what makes wrestling so special. So sit back, grab a beverage and enjoy the show. Good evening, wrestling fans. I'm Ben Allison, and you are watching the Wrestling Republic daily broadcast. We are 48 hours out from the Royal Rumble, and we are now well and truly on the road to WrestleMania. We have our seatbelts on, and we are ready to go. And I am definitely looking forward to talking with you guys about all your hot takes from the Royal Rumble today, and I have a great panel to do it with me. I've got Ant, you, and Lawrence to discuss them, and gents, let's get right into it with the first hot take submitted by eondas.artpro, who says part-timers shouldn't win the Royal Rumble. A big hot take here, and I'm going to answer this first. Respectfully to the person who submitted this comment, I couldn't disagree more. WrestleMania is WWE's global event, the biggest event of the year. They need people main eventing it who are draws. And a lot of WWE's draws historically have been part-timers. Why? Well, because they earn them so much money, it doesn't even make sense for them to be there week in and week out. For example, right now, a Roman Reigns. And when you're going into a Vegas WrestleMania that you are already struggling to sell tickets for, Roman Reigns is the guy you need at the top of that card. Roman Reigns was the right choice to win the Royal Rumble. There we are. I've said it. But Ant, I want to get your thoughts. Do you think that Roman was the right guy, and should part-timers be banned?
We put our ones up for Roman Reigns. Of course, Roman Reigns was the right guy to win the Royal Rumble. Seth Rollins hurt. You have Kevin Owens out. You have all these top tier guys. Dominic Mysterio hurt. So you have the guy who is the face of the company, who is going to bring in the most money at WrestleMania, be the draw for WrestleMania. And what could be a bigger draw? I know a lot of people say they don't want to see it, but if you do a Cody versus Roman 3, you have the trilogy, you have it. You have winner take all, or you can have Cody versus Drew. Like having Roman Reigns in that top spot writes itself. You have or Roman versus Punk. You have Roman versus Drew. Drew can silence all the bloodline things. He can take out Roman from all the stuff that Roman did to him. It's beautiful. It's perfect to have at that situation. Plus, everyone knows who Roman Reigns is. Roman Reigns is just coming off doing the Street Fighter movie. So you have all that press that's going to be going on for that going along with it. It's the right choice. It's the only choice. If you don't like it, wipe your tears up. You're probably a Cody crybaby, and just get over it. As Liv Morgan would say, continue to cry about it.
Wow. Some fighting talk there, but Cody Crybabies, I do have some good news for you, because I'm still convinced it's going to be Roman and Cody. I think Cody is getting that title back. As I keep saying, Fernando doesn't want to see it. I understand that, but that's the story they've been telling, and my problem now is it feels like, they've essentially taken a boat, right? They're, going from UK to America. They're about to reach America, and they've all decided to jump off. Like, what's the point? You might as well just reach America at that point. It's completely like, you've told this story the entire year. Survivor Series, one of the biggest events of the year. That was the main story to close the show. Why are we now going to pretend that that's not the case? What I think they've done is really smart because they've distracted us from what they are doing for a little bit, and that keeps the product feeling unpredictable. So I do agree with you there at you. And DCX Warlord says, to quote the great SNL Weekend Update anchor and Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale competitor Michael Che, I actually have to agree with this. But Lawrence, I want to know, do you agree with it?
100%. I think it's perfectly fine that part-timers win the Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns is who he is. He's your tribal chief. You should be acknowledging him. And now you have someone who won the Royal Rumble who can actually now go ahead and headline WrestleMania night 2. And we're going to be able to see him. Either they decide to go the direction of, like we said, either it's Roman Reigns and CM Punk, which in WWE, we have not been able to see that match on a marquee stage, such as a WrestleMania match, which it is a WrestleMania type main event. If you asked us 10 years ago, could we get Roman Reigns and CM Punk? We would love it, right? Also, as well, I think it would be good to see potentially maybe Cody and Roman 3. And I think it's also good that they didn't leave the title on Cody, right? The title's on Drew right now, which is really good. Drew's doing some great work, some of the best work that he's ever done. And now it creates that unpredictability, because if Cody was still champion right now and Roman had won the Rumble, we would just be setting up an elimination chamber match to see who be facing CM Punk at WrestleMania, because everybody would know that Roman was going to come after Cody, right? But we've been setting this thing up. I'm excited to see which way it goes. I think there's a couple kinks in the armor with WWE. It's hard for me to see them go with Roman Reigns versus CM Punk, just because Roman called the World Heavyweight Championship the loser bracket title. So we talk about long-term storytelling. I don't know if that prize is really going to garner his attention. So those are just my thoughts. That's the only caveat there. But yeah, part-timers can win the Rumble. They create the main events. In Vegas, you want to sell tickets. And how you sell tickets is you have your tribal chief on night 2. He'll be main eventing WrestleMania once again. Get used to it.
Absolutely. And you made a great point there about the World Championship. Roman Reigns previously disrespected it. So on one hand, it doesn't really make sense for him to go after that title. But on the other hand, him going after that title now would show how far it's come and how it now means a lot more than it potentially did. So on that note, do you think that potentially maybe Netflix would be happier if that does happen, just so that title feels like a bigger deal?
Yeah, because you look at it, when WWE first did the deal with Netflix, they personally requested Roman Reigns for Monday nights. That is why you don't see Roman Reigns on SmackDowns, because Netflix requested the tribal chief for Monday nights. So I wouldn't be surprised from a business perspective if they say, hey, we want Roman Reigns as the champion here on Monday Night Raw, which, I mean, it would make sense, right? Because then you could set up Seth returning, because if you put him as WWE champion, unless you're going to do a draft and reshape the rosters, there's not going to be a chance to have that Roman and Seth, which we're still due for, right? You're still due
That's
for
a good point.
Roman still has a lot of unfinished business on Monday Night Raw. You still got Bronson Reed, who's walking around here with a janky t-shirt talking about tribal thief. So, there's a lot of things that Roman Reigns has left to do on Monday Night Raw. So, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised. It would just probably, him be, wiping away. They probably won't make mention of him calling that title the loser bracket title. So, yeah.
Exactly. If I could pull out my whiteboard real quick and fantasy book that, Seth is supposed to be back around early April, which we all know is WrestleMania time. So, I mean, Seth has come out and said that if there's air in my lungs, I will make sure that CM Punk is not the champion. Well, what better way to screw CM Punk than to have him come back and call CM Punk the title from Roman Reigns? To Roman Reigns.
He said the exact same line about Roman Reigns, though, as well. He said the exact same line about both of them.
I mean, what's the lesser of two evils here?
I think in Seth's eyes, it might be Punk.
But I think the bigger match would be Seth versus Roman. I think Seth would want that match.
I agree completely. like Lauren said, we haven't seen it, but
Right.
well, we haven't seen it on a big stage. But I mean, look, there's a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of different directions, and that is the beauty of it. But Lawrence, you mentioned the networks. I want to quickly ask you about how you would feel if you were the USA Network and both the Royal Rumble winners, because it's obvious Liv Morgan's going to choose the World Championship. If both the Royal Rumble winners chose titles on Netflix, considering the deals money-wise aren't too different. Like I think it is like 200 million difference, but when we're talking the figures in which it's in, they're both near $1 billion deals.
I don't know how much longer SmackDown is going to be on USA anyway. So
For 4 years they've got left on the deal.
that's a drop in the bucket when you really look at it. So you just start building to it. I could start seeing where your Royal Rumble winners are go after or your Netflix title contenders, and then your Elimination Chamber winners go after the other one. I could see that happening just because of what it is. Royal Rumble is one of the big four. Netflix has some more money. But either way, like Liv Morgan winning, Liv Morgan's definitely going to go after the women's world heavy, that championship.
Yeah.
But the storyline built in there is going to be even better because Liv Morgan dumped Raquel.
But have you seen what's happened, though, haven't you? Because this is a little bit of a tangent, guys, but I am absolutely furious. Fuming beyond belief.
Yes.
Because I went on WWE's X account after the Royal Rumble, and here we have Liv and Raquel smiling together, FaceTiming Dirty Dom, celebrating Liv Morgan's win. And I thought, they're breaking kayfabe a bit, but oh well, people do that on social media nowadays. Then I realized it was on the official account. This was an official video in kayfabe. They've not split up. Raquel forgave her within like 2 seconds. What is going on, Lawrence?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just, it comes down to the question, it reminds me, is Raquel going to play the long game, right? Because Raquel still has a world title match, which I presume, she could lose. She very well may still lose, right? And you may be setting up for a Stephanie Vaquer versus a Liv Morgan. But if you remember, there was a Finn Balor who betrayed a Damian Priest against Gunther at SummerSlam, right? So that very well could be the same thing, right? Liv is in the moment. She has the opportunity, but then all of a sudden Raquel steps in, however at that time, and costs her the championship, and Stephanie Vaquer retains. And then it leads us to Liv, and, that could be the Judgment Day's breakup. You know what I mean? So I do think that Raquel could play the long game. And I think if Raquel loses, then we'll see tonight, like Raquel loses, then we'll see going into WrestleMania, like little spots where Raquel is like jealous, right? Because she knows Liv is getting ready to main event, but she's not, right? And she feels like, man, and then it blows up to her turning on her. So, yeah, that's just really my thoughts.
Fascinating. Absolutely. We've got a couple of comments here. Anthony saying that he doesn't think the elimination meant anything. Liv Morgan was just being opportunistic. I can't say this word today.
Gotcha. Opportunistic.
Tony Da Silva says there was never a split. The Rumble is everyone for themselves. I understand that, guys. I truly do. And that's what in the moment I thought. But I thought Liv was going to react like, I'm sorry, everyone for themselves. She wasn't. She was pointing at her, laughing. It was... To anybody watching, that was a turn.
Mm-hmm.
To anybody, like, it was so obvious. And then they just act like it wasn't. Like, it almost feels to me like Liv and Raquel thought that was the turn, and it was spoken to them. And they went backstage and they were like, no, that's not the actual turn. It was just meant to be teasing the turn. Or something like that.
That was the way I really took it.
Bizarre.
It was really like a tease. That was the way that I took it. It was like a tease. Set something up for later, potentially down the line. Not to say they pulled the trigger, but you have enough if in case you want to pull that trigger. Here's the reason as to why I pulled the trigger.
It's it's a double-edged sword. I love the fact that they show that, they're happy for each other and they're celebrating with Dom, who's not there. But I wish they didn't show it to us. Like I wish we didn't see that. Like I'm glad it happened. But yeah, man, like
here's the thing I want to bring to people's attention though, right? I think that Liv will choose her opponent before Elimination Chamber so to make things easier, right? But let's talk about Roman, right? Because when we talk about part-timers in this Rumble ban, potentially being banned, all of that stuff, what people were thinking. There's an issue that's going to come about, right? So if Roman doesn't choose a champion before Elimination Chamber, right? The dilemma that comes is who's going to be in the Elimination Chamber match? Is it going to be a mix of Raw and SmackDown superstars?
Yeah, that's what I think.
Right?
It's me three from each again. I think regardless nowadays it is 3 from each. So I think whatever title the Royal Rumble winner goes for, regardless of that, it's 3 from Raw and 3 from SmackDown go to earn the opportunity to fight for the other one. But you are right. There's going to be a lot of, there's a lot of different roads to this WrestleMania, and I'm very excited for it. Yeah. Andre says the same thing, that he thinks it was more of a gotcha moment, but not a turn. So, hey, maybe I just took it wrong, but to me, in the moment, I was dead convinced it was a turn. But up next, guys, the next question is from Dominic.DC, who says that Sol Ruka, in his opinion, was the most impressive person on the entire show at the Royal Rumble. And I want to get your thoughts.
I love the take. And, really, she had a really great run, but you must have just watched the Women's Royal Rumble. Because if you did not see what Obafemi did in the Men's Royal Rumble, I don't know how you could not be impressed by that. Now, Sol Ruka had a great run. She was in there for a long time. The Soul Snatcher that she hit on JC Jane was really impressive. But that's the only moment that truly sticks out to me from the Sol Ruka experience in the Royal Rumble. Like I said, Obafemi, he had multiple eliminations. He was just he looked like the monster that we all know he's going to be. And having Brock Lesnar eliminate Obafemi is poetic, and it should be that way. And it should set up a match between Oba and Brock, and it should be the passing of the torch from one beast to another. But back on topic, once again, like I said, I love Sol Ruka. Happy Black History Month to Sol Ruka. She is a phenomenal athlete. She is like long list of people. Like she is the next Charlotte Flair. She has everything that Charlotte Flair has, outside of the wrestling knowledge, but she's gonna make just an instant impact on the main roster. I could see Sol Ruka having a run like Tiffany Stratton had, being, if they decide to push her to the moon like they did Tiffany. Once again, welcome back, Tiffany Stratton. Sol Ruka, she has been nothing but super impressive. So once again, I like the take. I don't disagree that she had an impressive run, but I wouldn't say that she had the most impressive Royal Rumble showing.
Do you know what? The major positive, I'd say, of this year's Royal Rumble was a lot of wrestlers came out of it looking really good. Because to your point, Obafemi, I do agree, probably did come out of it looking the best. But we had Kiana James, who was a nobody a few weeks ago. Now suddenly everybody's getting behind her. We also had Lash Legend, who looked like an absolute star in that match as well. But yeah, Sol Ruka, she gets the crowd going every single time. Her ability to, get fans on her side is so impressive. And honestly, Donnie in the comments here, an absolute Sol Ruka diss, saying she can't throw a punch or a kick and her selling needs to improve. Fans focus on her athletic ability, but she's still green. I think she's improved massively over the last few months, because I said the same thing, Donnie, months and months and months ago. I kind of am taking it back now because I really do think she's looking so much better compared to about a year or so ago. I honestly, but Fernando says Last Legend was the MVP of the Women's Rumble. She did look like an absolute star. And Fernando saying Sol Ruka is a million times more entertaining than Tiffany Stratton. Wow, hot take.
Yeah, that's a tough take right there. Tiffany does a lot of things well. Like there's a lot of hate for Tiffany, and I don't understand it, but maybe it's just her voice. Maybe it's her voice people don't like, but Tiffany does a lot of things really well. Go ahead.
She got given a really, like, her booking for her championship reign was really poor. Like, it was so boring. They barely gave her anything. And the one thing they did properly give her, other than Jade Cargill, was the Charlotte Flair storyline. And obviously, both of them well and truly managed to mess that one up. But outside of that, she did nothing wrong. And again, I think that was equally on Charlotte Flair. But it's just so... It's so unfair. I mean, I don't agree with this, Donnie. Tiffany and Sol are basically copy and paste. They're nothing like each other.
No, I kind of agree. Like,
there's a blonde hair, and that's where the comparisons end. You disagree, Lawrence?
Yeah, I don't think that they're the same character. I think they're two different characters, to be honest with you. I think Tiffy is more prissy, where I think Sol Ruka is more of the athletic, right? Like Tiffy's more of like the very pretty, beautiful cheerleader. Then you have Sol Ruka, where she's also beautiful as well, but she's more of that, a little bit more athletic, right? She does more, right? She's probably not on the cheerleading team, but she could if she wanted to be, right? But she's actually playing the actual sports, right? So that's kind of like my comparison.
Yeah.
I think both women are very talented. And I think Tiffany, to what you guys said, like Tiffany's booking, and I mean, even look at Jade Cargill's booking. She hasn't even defended the title. You know what I mean? Which I think is being done a bit on purpose too, but it doesn't make it a good thing either. But I think WWE's booking with the women's division, hasn't been the best. Even Stephanie Vaquer, her booking hasn't been the best either. Like she won the title, but you haven't really put challengers in front of her when you actually have the challengers. And that's where WWE kind of falls victim of, thinking that everything needs to be long-term storytelling when some matches just need to happen tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you there. And yeah, I really don't see the comparisons between them at all. Other than, I mean, you can say they both could improve their selling. Fair enough on that one. But I think that and the fact they both have blonde hair is where the comparisons end. And they're both athletic as well. But Jays did not like that spot with the flips on the apron. But up next, guys, let's talk about Matt Cardona, shall we? Because this question is from @Cinnamon Brain Wrestling, who says that Matt Cardona's 55 seconds prove that there will be little to no difference in his booking compared to Zack Ryder. Surprise, surprise, surprise. I mean, is anyone actually surprised? Because I'm certainly not, Lawrence.
No, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, when I found out that Matt Cardona was coming back, I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, maybe he could take LA Knight's spot as the jobber or Finn Balor's spot. Maybe that's what they plan on doing. They plan on moving LA Knight up or plan on moving Finn Balor, from taking L's every week, right? So maybe he's taking their spot. But I don't see, I mean, when we said this when he faced, when he was getting ready to get in the match to get to the Fatal 4-Way, right? No one here at Wrestling Republic thought that Matt Cardona was going to be pushed. They have a lot of younger stars, right? You're not putting him over a Trick Williams. You're not putting him over a Carmelo Hayes. You have a ton of people in the mid card. You're not putting him over a Damian Priest. You're not putting him over those people. You're not putting him over Aleister Black, right? So I personally think that Aleister Black and Matt Cardona are probably going to feud here sooner rather than later. So just, plugging that one in. But no, I'm not surprised. I mean, they're going to have the same booking. It's good to see him back. Obviously, he worked his way back. But this will not, unfortunately, this is not going to be a Drew McIntyre story. This is not going to be a Cody Rhodes story where you come back from a long hiatus and you win a world championship. So Sami Zayn hasn't even won a world championship. So Matt Cardona isn't either. So simple as that.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I mean, look, I do think that Matt Cardona came back to the company with the hopes of maybe turning what he'd get given into something better and then potentially long term getting that world title. I think that's his dream. But I don't think he came into the company with that expectation. I think he's exactly where he expects to be, and he's just going to try and make the most out of every opportunity he gets, which is the right mentality to have. And I mean, we got Bobby Petito here saying at least Matt Cardona got showcased, and that is a good point as well. Some people are just happy to be there, and I'm sure he's the same. Andres says Chelsea said that's normal for him. Chelsea Green on social media this week is hilarious. I'm loving it. But we got Donnie says, I think that's about one of the comments there. But Jay says when Rusev came out, he didn't have any knee pads on, and it looked like he didn't do anything pre-warm-ups. I knew he was gonna last short. I mean, that's the thing. You mentioned Aleister Black. Rusev and Matt Cardona, I'm gonna be honest, they've come into this company, they've returned here, and it's been kind of a load of nothing, Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, Rusev was getting TV time last year, and then it got cut. He was getting TV time, and I think he had that match with Dominic Mysterio as well. We haven't seen Rusev on TV at all. You know what I mean? So that's what I think I made mention. I think you and Clark did a show a couple weeks ago, and I made mention where if you don't have anything productive from somebody, just keep them off television.
Yeah.
Like sometimes WWE tries to fit everyone on television when we already know, listen, everyone can't be on television. And, they say they had these long-term storytellings, and I'll use a different example with Omos, right? Why is Omos, where is he at? He's under contract. It's like you're paying people to do what? What is he doing over there with luchadors? Why is this man not on television? You know what I mean? Like the piece is that sometimes I think WWE, they don't have anything for somebody to do. So either they're going to feature them in these small segments, making fans want more. The same thing, that they did last year as well. Sami Zayn was coming out, and we were seeing, Sami Zayn and Scarlett, those situations. We were seeing that, and we were like, yo, we wanted Scarlett and company to stay. And then they didn't stay. Every single week you trying to get these people over, you pushing merch, but then boom. Next thing you know, Sami Zayn wins again. Boom, he's out the company. So that's my thing, is like I just think sometimes we don't have the best plans, which is why it's very careful. They need to be very careful with this new talent. Carmelo Hayes, right? Trick Williams, Obafemi. Don't rush them too fast unless you're truly going to have a spot for them. It's okay to let them gradually come up. You know what I mean? So that's really my thoughts.
I think that is a great point. I really do. And I do like him in AAA. I really do. I think he's, obviously he's very different there, right? He's not a luchador, and I think that his gimmick works perfectly. But at the same time, we got Donnie here saying that he's exactly where he needs to be, getting reps where there's a low stress environment. I mean, to be fair, I don't know if I'd call the crowds there low stress. They get on you if you're not doing well. But you are right. He did need to be re-gimmicked somewhere. But the fact is, he's been off TV for what, 3 years? 3 years now, I think, off main roster TV.
Seen him. Yeah. This man had a match at WrestleMania. What is he retooling that much? You get what I'm saying? Either you're going to have him on TV or you cut him. That's my thoughts about it. Like, if you don't genuinely have plans for people to utilize them, right? Unless they're on the shelf, like a JD McDonough who's on the shelf, he's injured, right? Kevin Owens, these people are injured, right? Recovering, coming back from injuries. Unless you have core plans for people, you just need to cut because you're paying people. You're paying people all this money for what? What are you doing? I'm not sending you to AAA to do that nonsense. You know what I mean?
But I feel like if Omos wasn't happy, he would ask to be released. Like, you got to look at these guys too. Like, I mean, you got to look at their situation too. So
it's good to get paid when you don't.
I mean, but maybe if he feels like
from his perspective, it's probably great.
But if he feels like he's getting better, if he's getting over with the fans down there, if he feels more comfortable in what he's doing, and he is getting better, then okay, I'll continue to do this, and then when I go back to the United States and I'm working back with WWE, I'm a whole lot more comfortable in what I'm doing, because he had that huge botch with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and it was everywhere. It was everywhere.
And sometimes those things happen.
Right.
I think, when you're a trained professional, you could do all the things right. They said the same thing about like people like Jade Cargill, right? Her botches, especially when she first came. She's even had a botch, I believe it was this past summer. Like, those things will happen. And I think what ends up, what you said is a really great point. Even the street profits, right? I'm sure that, Montez Ford is probably not happy with his position in the company, but even if you're held off TV, you're still getting paid. So it comes down to, what do you want to chase? Because Montez Ford is in the same position that Ricochet was in. You see, Ricochet was just more vocal. He's like, shoot, I'm not going to sign back. I'm going to go to AEW because I want to get this push. Tommaso Ciampa, right? Shout out to Ciampa. He just wins the TNA championship his first week in AEW, right? So sometimes you can get swayed because let's just be real. Tommaso Ciampa wasn't winning nothing in WWE outside of tag team championships. He wasn't going to be winning Intercontinental Championships. He wasn't going to be winning United States Championships. Why? Because we don't have a spot for you to win that right now. We got Trick Williams, who's going to win it next. He's going to get Carmelo Hayes next. We got other young and upcoming people. So that's where you run into the dilemma. Sometimes WWE is over signing people or bringing people back without true proper planning. Right. And like you said, people's expectations sometimes could get mixed. Some people is like, shoot, as long as I'm like Zack Ryder, he like, shoot, man, as long as I'm getting that check and I get to travel with my wife, shoot, I'm cool. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's
same
thing for him as
same
well.
thing with Montez Ford. I get to travel with my wife. Shoot, I might not be happy the best, but shoot, I ain't got to be somewhere different than my wife.
Do you think Tommaso Ciampa is going to win the AEW championship though?
No way.
I don't think so, but I think he'll go further in AEW than WWE. And I think that's why you see so many wrestlers jump from, because even think about Bobby Lashley and MVP, and this will be the last thing I'll say. Triple H told them, we're not doing the Hurt business anymore. What happened? 3 weeks later, you go over to AEW, Tony Khan says, well, we could do the Hurt Syndicate. You know what I mean? So it's what you said is so important. When people leave WWE, they're usually leaving not because of really the pay. It's more so either one, they got released, or two, they weren't happy with their creative direction. And the beautiful thing about AEW is Tony Khan kind of really lets you just come in and really just do whatever.
Yeah. I do think they've got the perfect balance in AEW too. As if it is something stupid, they will say no, but you have a lot more, like, you can go to the creative team, actually pitch your ideas compared to WWE, and there's pros and cons about that for sure, as we've seen. But Donnie says this, and we'll move on then. If your focus in a work sport is wins and not money, you're a mark, and that's a fair point. But at the same time, to the phrase which Lawrence used, creative freedom and your creative direction, that is important too, because if you're not feeling fulfilled creatively, at the end of the day, if you're not going to bed at night happy, you might take a little bit less money. That is a thing which matters. That doesn't mean your wins and losses. That just means your creative direction as a whole. And thank you, Bobby, for saying you always enjoy our show. That means a lot. But up next, guys, our final question of the day is from Tefo Darcy, who says, why was Brock eliminated during Jey Uso's entrance, which, by the way, was extended so much that it got interrupted by the next entrant? Well, you know what? I completely agree with you. This was the dumbest thing I have seen in quite a while, and I knew they were going to do it, so I wasn't surprised in the slightest. But what did surprise me was the fact Brock got eliminated, and I didn't even know Brock got eliminated during this part until Kobe told me after the fact. That's how focused I was, trying not to focus I was on Jey Uso's entrance. I am sick of this now. I like the yeet. It does well. It sells well. But when it is stopping Brock Lesnar's exit from the Royal Rumble feeling like a big deal, then it's a mistake. It's a big mistake, Ant.
I don't even know who eliminated Brock Lesnar. Watch the show. Don't know who eliminated Brock Lesnar. But I do know Roman Reigns asked Jey Uso to run it back again, and when he did, he knocked him out. So that was the best thing to happen for me. I am not a Jey Uso fan, so Jey Uso taking all that time coming through the crowd, like that was. I mean, that was the extent of his thing. I don't know. He hit Roman Reigns with a spear. Cool. You know, Jey Uso doesn't have an original move in his moveset. So I just like, he's not entertaining. He's not very athletic. He's a phrase that he stole from his brother, and he's an entrance. And that is my views on Jey Uso.
Well, tell us how you really feel, and flipping heck. But to your point, I actually didn't know either. I had to look it up who eliminated him. And it was Cody Rhodes and the fan favorite having the biggest moment of his career, LA Knight. They finally gave the fan favorite something, and they let Jey Uso get his stuff in over the guy who gets hate for getting his stuff in. You couldn't write it. It was terrible. But, Lawrence, I want to get your thoughts on this.
Man, so let's run it back. You know what I'm saying? Run it back for the one time, but nah, just playing. Man, when it comes to Jay, the entrance is cool, but the running it back is it's very old now. You know what I mean? This is the Royal Rumble, and you're showing up to go to WrestleMania. That's what you're saying. And you're focused on, instead of eliminating your competitors, you've decided to get on top rope and run it back. I thought it was a good spot to have, Roman hit him with a nice uppercut. And, I look at Brock, I would have liked to see Brock get highlighted a bit more. I thought Cody and LA eliminating him was cool, but I would have enjoyed Oba Femi, you know what I mean, eliminating Brock Lesnar. I would have enjoyed that. I personally think that Oba versus Brock Lesnar is going to happen at WrestleMania. So I think that's a match that they're going to probably push for. Or if it doesn't happen at WrestleMania, it could happen in Minneapolis, but I think that's unlikely because I also think that Gunther is, they're filing the trademark for the career killer, and Gunther just retired AJ Styles. So, you could be looking at potential Gunther retiring Brock Lesnar too, which, I'm still going to have to wrap my head around that one. But yeah, I think with Brock Lesnar, I think he came over there. He's at this point where right now he's taking his last lap as well too. We're not going to see Brock, in my opinion, in matches after this year. I think Brock's last match would be in Minneapolis, Minnesota for SummerSlam 2026. And that's that. That'd be his retirement match. So I think we can appreciate everything Brock's brought us and been able to give us here. And I'm excited to, see him on the road to WrestleMania and see who his opponent ends up being, whoever it is. Right. So that's really my thoughts on it.
We got Anthony here agreeing, saying that he thinks, it could be a match with Oba, and that would be a lot of fun before then. Gunther, like you mentioned, in Minneapolis, SummerSlam. Unfortunately, that makes a lot of sense. I'm so over this Gunther retirement gauntlet, but it's going to continue just like Jey Uso's entrances. We're running it back and running it back and running it back. But we got a couple of comments here. We got DCX Warlord says that was the best moment of the men's Rumble. I can't believe that. Jay saying Saudi Arabia didn't know what happened. No, they didn't, because they were all, watching, because they didn't see the TV or whatever. They were literally all watching Jey Uso, and Brock got eliminated, and that's the issue with it, Donnie, there. The crowd didn't react. The commentators didn't react for a few seconds, and then they immediately cut the camera back onto Jey Uso, so you didn't have time to let it breathe. In fact, it was the most AEW thing WWE have done production-wise in the longest time. That's exactly what this was. It was something out of one of those Anarchy in the Arena matches AEW does.
Read Donnie's about
Hard
Jey
disagree with Ant. Jay is the best in the company, and drawing, I presume that's meant to say at drawing sympathy, not Android. If you're saying he's the best at drawing sympathy, okay. Best overall, you are crazy, Donnie. You've lost your marbles if that's the case.
No. Let me handle that. Let me handle this judiciously, right?
Go for it.
If Jimmy Uso never got hurt, there would be no right-hand man Jey Uso, right? All the sympathy that Jey Uso was getting back in the day when Roman was terrorizing him was because of Jimmy Uso. He put Jimmy in the lock and made Jey cry and give up and become the right-hand man, right? Jimmy was the one that was trying to get Jey back and garnering the sympathy. Jimmy was the one that was like, come on, man, you don't need this. So I feel like Jey stole Jey Uso's whole gimmick is Montez Ford.
I disagree with that.
It's no. What?
What do you
With
mean
the
his whole
cups and the
gimmick's
yeet?
Montez Ford?
I disagree with that.
Jey Uso's yeet gimmick, the talking, the grills, everything. Jey Uso took Montez Ford. He became.
I just think
Ford.
I think Jey is just, honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Jey is being who he is in real life. With like, it's not like with Jey, his character now is just who he is in real life. Like Jimmy is more the serious one, and I'm not trying to talk about people's personal lives, but think about this, right? You look at just Jimmy as a person, he's more of the serious one. He's been in a relationship with Naomi long term, right? Like, you don't know a ton about Jey's personal life, and that's fine. But Jey is more of the goofball brother, right? Where Jimmy's the one who's getting Jey out of trouble. And that's why I believe you saw what you saw back in the day when Roman was terrorizing him, right? Obviously, Jimmy came back into the fold. Obviously, he had his injury. But like, Jey's done a great job. Now he's milking the entrance for sure. But is it really him, or is that Triple H? Because Triple H is, at the end of the day, he's the booker. He's the one that signs off on that.
Every interview you hear, every time they talk about Jimmy's the goofball, Jimmy's the jokester, you know, Jimmy's the funny one. At any time you listen to anything, go back, rewatch.
I'm not saying that Jimmy's not funny. I'm just saying that to say that Jey's persona is like Montez Ford. Jey is really being, if you watch Jey outside of like WWE, just being himself, like, he's just on camera, able to be him a bit more, right? He leans into more of his personal side, which has now been able to connect him with the fans more. You've created a real baby face, right? To where, like, at the end of the day, you got to have characters that fans truly love, right? Because I'm going to go to Raw here in the next couple of weeks, and when it comes to Atlanta, you know, when I've been in these arenas, the kids they love this. So you need that. You know what I'm saying? You need the Codys. You need, you know, even though you're going to have your Cody crybabies, but you need your Cody fans. You need your Jey
fans. Not disagreeing with any of that. Not disagreeing. The kids love him. I mean, it's evident. You see the love that they have for him. Yeah. Right? But that was not Jey. We got to go. I know we can talk about this.
Yeah, I mean,
forever.
to be honest with you guys, to summarize, I think you're actually both right here. I genuinely think that's Jey Uso's real personality, to your point, Lawrence. But I also agree with you, Ant, that it's just, at this point, it's gone too far, and this was definitely the step across the line in my eyes. And they are exposing him a little bit too, like when they're putting him on the mic so much. I think keep the Usos together like they're doing. Because at this point in their careers, I think we could see a different side to Jimmy as well, that more comedic side. Put them together, let them have fun again, like they were doing in 2016, and let their personalities both show. And I think they could have an all-time tag team reign. But that does bring us to the end of the show, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe so you don't miss any of our daily videos here at Wrestling Republic. And check out this week's Wrestling Republic Weekly podcast with me and Shard if you haven't already. Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you, Aunt You. We will see you guys same time, same place tomorrow. Peace.